going for an essential drive. Got another shop in. Check. The stuff I had to do last week's actually got into. Well, I was working. So yeah. Weather's wet, so we're going to go the A roads. Takes about an hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes, something like that. As opposed to 15 minutes to an hour going on the motorways. Just don't trust the motorways at the minute. So, currently in the Tesco car park. So yeah. Hopefully you're all fine. May well be snowing in Stalyvegas, although once again I'm not holding my breath one way or the other. We'll wait and see. Don't think we'll get through this time on these lights because they don't give that long. This car in front isn't exactly. No, it's not. It's a bit slow on the uptake then, that car. Suzuki Liana. Was that one of the cars that they had as a reasonably priced car on Top Gear a few years ago? Did I imagine that? No. I don't know. Any road. We are on the way. After these cars have come from the right. Moving, it should stop squeaking. I'm going to move this time. Yeah, we are moving this time. I'm going to go through Aspel as normal. It's a bit moist around the edges, it has to be said. Soggy, soggy, soggy. Oi, oi, oi. I could have gone straight on, I suppose, but it wouldn't have made any difference. Due to the fact that the lights are on red anyway. We're up in Skulls. Going past Wine's Horse. this could, as we drive along here on this journey, could change from rain to sleet to possibly snow, but don't quote me on that, because well, I don't know what you're saying. Coming up the hill now to Tesco's. Little Tesco's used to be a pub. We'll pass the mounts. Big lorry turn in there. Eco mixed concrete. Transit van turn in as well. Oof. Definitely feel these roads have got worse over the winter. More potholes and whatnot. More not sinkage as such, but definitely more damage to the roads than what there was in the summer. Subsidence, that was what I was looking for. So we go over the canal. It's still snowing these fields, but I can't imagine it's going to be snowing around here. It's snowing, it's raining onto snow. Looking at the raindrops on the windscreen, there's not even sleety. There's a big pothole there. Aspel now. So that's a new pothole. I missed it because I saw it because the one in front went through it. Way up here. It's on the far right. It's 16:15 on the 26th of the 1st, 2021, and it's 2 degrees. This way because I'm not going on the motorway, so it's easier to go this way. Can't believe how much snow there is up here. Not even that high up. Definitely more potholes appearing. definitely soggy. Another eco mix cement mixer. We're going the other way this time. Coming into West Orton now. Jared Arms on the right. This road used to be a bad one for potholes, but they resurfaced it a while ago. No, it's not so bad. That were then, it was a crow or something flying very slowly over the road. I thought it was some kind of bit bag or something like that. That's good. So we're on the A6 now. Another eco mix cement mixer. Coming the other way then. What am I? So we're in Wingates now, just past Wingates Industrial Estate. To the lorry just turning right in front of us. Slows down for the set off after the green lights. up to 40 mile an hour. There's a bit of snow around here, but nowhere near as much as there was in Aspen. That'd be a pothole. Okay, we're off again. Why this car keeps going so close to the curb. And there's vehicles parked half on and half off the curb. It seems a bit of a silly thing to do. Nice to see an Asda van not on its side in a river. Right. We'll lose the lorry. Yeah, lorry's going onto the motorway, we're not. Yeah, heading on the road to Wigan, which is the A6. So it's a bit later than I thought I'd be, but hey, welcome back. Black spot there for some reason. Pretty sure it happened last week as well. Not sure why. Last week as well. Not sure why. But I think from now on you're with us all the way. You turn left at these lights and you end up at the shelter on the bridge. Go left at these lights even. We're not doing that. I did see it then. You couldn't. The angle was not great enough. So we're now heading towards Wigan. Coming up to another roundabout. Got the distribution centre on the far right. I assume it's Aldi. Or certainly Aldi's part of the distribution centres around here. That's a Whistle one. Yeah, Aldi, but set further back. But you do see a hell of a lot of Aldi lorries around here. No, we don't want to go that way. So the big question is, will we get to see loads of snow when we get to Nathia? The answer is, I don't really know, Rita. Because we're driving into a yellow weather warning for snow. So we're now in Salford. Heading towards Walkden. Just be careful around here because apparently the police kill your speed. Still got lights at the front of that shop which is passed on the right that's got the shape of a Christmas tree, like fairy lights in the shape of a Christmas tree. It's already a month since Boxing Day. It's got the White Lion pub on the left. Spice and Spirits on the right. Quite a nice church as well on the far right. Flood there, got a massive puddle. So we're heading into Walkden now. Trying to come out and set quite a long way back. There's a little Halton Dart Children's Centre. Nice. A place there called Smile, so I assume it's a dentist. It's one with the lit up arched windows, although the square windows with paneling at the top of the window spaces are arched, is what I meant. Temporary lights, that's what we were stopped for. Was one drink. saying it's rough around here, but the digger then had its all its panelling, all its glass cabin and everything all covered over. It's on a main road. Crikey. I stopped on red. That Audi went through after I'd stopped. Which was why he got a little honk of the horn from the car turning right. Is London Town Centre shopping centre. You see the church in the distance. Interesting, it's got a little tower on top of the well, tiny little spy type thing on top of the tower, which is a bit weird. It was quite a lit up van, wasn't it? Right, here we go. I need to learn that set of traffic lights, double set of traffic lights, but we'll get there. The more I do it, the more I get used to it. So we're going to go past Brian's in a minute. Rocket shot. Assume we haven't already. Oh no, we haven't. I think that's it coming up on the left. it is, black and whites on the left. Now, brains, carpet shop. You could have gone for that. Miles away. Never mind. Anyway, now we're going to go on the big long straight road, which takes us underneath the M61. The M61 slip roads, the A580 slip roads, and the M60 motorway, formerly known as the M62 at this point, although the M62 still exists. Come in the motorways. And the slip roads and everything. Loads of bridges. I think it's about four bridges. One, two, very, very big one, 3, and 4. Once again, these roads. PJO heating. That's nice. Right, so a short while we'll come out and we'll be nearly in Swinton. Straight on, so you might turn right, we'll go straight on. You see the wheels of that car? Remember, these lights are on red. From the car off. Right, we've got these weird roadworks in Swinton coming up that are going to be there for like months. Nobody knows why. Do some improvements to the junction, I think. Let's go past Quick Fit. Can't get better. at these lights. Actually, the church here has got a similar thing. It's got a square tower and then it's got an extra tower thing on it as well. That one goes all the way to the bottom. I wonder what that's for. And meanwhile, you're enjoying Blackpool illuminations on the left, aren't you? I can tell. Who wouldn't be? There's our boy race a white van in front of this van. Again, it seems strange that they're going to a lot of effort on this set of traffic lights. So, we wait with breath abated. So we're now coming up to the big set of traffic lights, then we go on to the housing estate, which takes us to the James Bond baddie lair. And there's no snow here at all. Most of the grass, there's the odd little spot on it, but not like there was in Wigan or in Aspel. Mind you, we are in a city, so I suppose there would be more warmth in the city with all the buildings and everything. Them wrap of the days, yeah, never have them. Just like eating cold chicken wrapped in wallpaper paste, especially when you get to the bottom bit. It's in our bread. There's boy racer again. Weird place for a roundabout. Well, I can kind of see why it's there. Oh boy, racer's turning off. Turning left just after the traffic lights. They got there about 15 seconds quicker than they would have done. weird junction. No one's coming, so we can go around here. A little bit of snow there. Again, this is more countryside than anything. Now at Edgecroft. Lights are against us today, definitely. Commerce Park. Another set of lights. And then we'll go past the cemeteries. Well, there's a surprise. They're on red. Who'd have thought it? I'm going to go down this road that's got the weird traffic calming a bit further down where the mills are. Not just parking a van off on the road. also works. Plenty of water on this road. Incredible roads. Concentrate more than normally because I'm just trying to avoid a really bad road, potholes and everything. These lights are on green, we can get through and do more than 20 miles an hour. That was skin of teeth. Past the bullet-ridden petrol station. So we're going up to the casino. It'll be on the right after the petrol station. And then we head towards Cheetah Mill. So coming up to the baths, got the playing fields on the right, there's no snow at all on the grass I can see, and then we've got the swimming pool and the double height. Oof, Mackies. It's a bit more drizzly here as well, I've noticed. It's not rain as such, just drizzly stuff that we all know and love. Someone just getting through the lights before they change again. So we're now heading towards massive double traffic lights. And chip shop's open again. £2.85 for fish and chips, it says in the window. That's cheap, isn't it? £2.85 for fish and chips. Must be little fish and chips. It costs more than that. It costs £4 for a fish in Wigan. Back a bit then, just in case. Well, I didn't pull back, I slowed down just in case the car in front needed to reverse to let that lorry around, but they didn't, so we're alright. Yeah, it's very drizzly here. I just looked down the hill then and it was just murky and horrible. It's not snowing and that's all that really matters. It's fair to say now it is pitch black. Again, probably not helped by the weather. Although it is 5 o'clock, so maybe it goes pitch black at this time of night, I don't know. I'm usually inside, not looking out the window. Well, that's the point. Boris will be up doing his waffle.
Ring figure.
And again, we are asked a lot in this programme to focus on the positives. We try to find some positives today. The number of cases today is 20,089, which is down a couple of thousand on yesterday, and that is following the pattern that we were told by Chris Whitty, amongst others, that cases would start to fall and then hopefully deaths would follow. And also, Damien, the number of people vaccinated with the first dose has now reached 653,327, which on the back of a fact packet is kind of almost halfway to that, to the top 4 categories being vaccinated. So that is some level of positivity today.
Yes, that's absolutely true, and those are things the government would point to. Interestingly, on those numbers, yes, the number of positive cases has been dropping now quite fast for a week or two. And that is a sort of leading indicator. So you see this, you see the number of cases rise and then decline, and it then takes time because the number of going into hospital and dying continues to rise and would only come down later. That's our experience from earlier in the pandemic. That's what we're seeing right now. On the vaccinations, yes, on that issue,
I thought Boris was talking.
UK, one of the leading countries in the world, 6+ million figure. So we are doing well there, and that is where the government, I think, is sort of pinning its hopes. And I'm sure, hear that from the Prime Minister today, saying we have to stick, with this. We have to keep following the rules while the vaccine program is rolled out. And also, I think the government could say economically that in some of the areas where it has sought to try to protect people, particularly unemployment, the UK there has performed better better than some other countries. That countries like the USA and Canada have seen more steep rises in unemployment, and they may well point to things like the furlough program, as they've tried to support people through the pandemic.
Damien, we just had a notice that the press conference won't start for another 5 minutes. 5:05, we're told now. So just time to talk.
Oh. Boris is always late. He'd be late for his own bloody funeral, that guy. Not sure which road we're supposed to be on here. Oh, this one.
Into the UK, the only question really seems to be, will it be a blanket one for all arrivals coming in, or will it be for UK or for citizens coming from those high-risk places, so UK citizens and people with residence rights in the country who can travel from high-risk countries to here, and will they be the ones who are singled out, bringing the highest risk of bringing new variants of the virus in that could undermine the vaccine program, and will they be made to go to hotels to quarantine for 10 days? That's the biggest question. The other questions around it will be, when exactly can they bring it in? Because it's a pretty complicated...
I hope I didn't offend you about the museum then.
And what will they be doing?
You've done well to find me.
Response for airlines, travel businesses who will and already are saying that this will have impact on their businesses and their costs.
Try and have a different look on things than other videos that are shot at places. A lot of people don't get it, but that, to be fair, that amuses me as well. There we go.
In the UK past 100,000. And it's hard to compute the sorrow contained in that grim statistic. The years of life lost, the family gatherings not attended, and for so many relatives, the mischance.
It's a great video, yeah. Don't show your boss. They get banned.
I offer my deepest condolences to everyone who's lost a loved one. Fathers and mothers, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, and the many grandparents who've been taken. And to all those who grieve, we make this pledge that when we've come through this crisis, we will come together as a nation to remember everyone who lost and to honour the selfless heroism of all those on the front line who gave their lives to save us. We will remember the courage of countless working people, not just our amazing NHS and care workers, but shop workers, transport staff, pharmacists, teachers, police, armed forces, emergency services, and many others who kept our country going during our biggest crisis since the Second World War. We will commemorate small acts of kindness, the spirit of volunteering, and the daily sacrifice of millions who placed their lives on hold time and again as we fought each new wave of the virus, buying time for our brilliant scientists to come to our aid. In that moment of commemoration, we will celebrate the genius and perseverance of those who discovered the vaccines and the immense national effort, never seen before in our history, which is now underway to distribute them. One that has now seen us immunize over 6.8 million people across the United Kingdom. And when those vaccines have finally freed us from this virus and put us on a path to recovery,
enjoy your turkey bangers.
make sure we learn the lessons and reflect
Not the ones I've reviewed.
and prepare. And until that time, the best and most important thing we can all do to honour the memory of those who've died, and to work together with ever greater resolve to defeat this disease, and that is
Vaccination centre on the right.
I'm now going to hand over to Chris for the slides.
Thank you, Prime Minister. On this very sad day, I've just got three slides. The first is the number of people testing positive for COVID in the UK. And as you can see on this graph, the number peaked at an extremely high number. It is still at a very high number, but it has been coming down. I want to just...
Are you testing the same number of people, though?
Which is that Office for National Statistics data demonstrates a rather slower decrease, and I think we need to be careful that we do not relax too early. Next slide, please.
I'm sure they're testing less
The
people.
number of people in hospital with COVID is still an incredibly high number, over 35,000 people. And as you can see in this graph, it is flattened off. It is not still rising overall. It is substantially above the peak in April. And over this time, it looks as if it's coming down very slightly in some areas, including London and the southeast and the east of England. But there are some areas of the country where it is still not convincingly reducing. So it is still at a very high level throughout the country, and NHS staff are working incredibly hard with many very sick COVID patients. Next slide, please. And finally, on this day, the number of deaths. At the moment, this looks as if this has flattened out, but at a very high level. So the most recent 7-day average for deaths, the rolling 7-day average, is 1,242 deaths, an incredibly high number. And I think we have to be realistic that the rate of mortality, the number of people dying a day, will come down relatively slowly over the next 2 weeks, and will probably be flat for a while now. So we will still, unfortunately, be having additional deaths to add to that very sad total that we talked about. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Chris. So anything you want to add?
Well, I think really just to thank my fellow staff across the health service for everything that you have done over the course of the last year. This Sunday, it'll be a year since the first 2 patients with coronavirus were treated in hospital in Newcastle, and it'll be a year since the first flight returned from Wuhan to Arrow Park Hospital for quarantining people returning to this country. And it's a year in which over 250,000 severely ill coronavirus patients have been looked after in hospital. And those staff who've been looking after those patients also, of course, experience what this pandemic has meant as daughters and as sons and as parents and as grandchildren with family and friends and neighbours. And so this is not a year that anybody is going to want to remember, nor is it a year that across the health service any of us will ever forget.
Thanks very much, Simon. Let's go to questions from the public now. Martin from the Wirral.
With vaccines well on the way, what are long-term plans to allow a return to travel and government working proactively with other nations to install safe travel mechanisms, including potential shared databases and any technology so we can get business growing as soon as possible?
Thanks, Martin. Well, what we want to do
What the hell was that?
Where we've got to on the 15th of February. As you know, that's the date by which we've vaccinated all the...
Trump's going to come across in front of us.
The jointly on vaccination and immunisation 1 to 4 groups, and see where we are in terms of reducing the spread of infection and what we've done to protect the most vulnerable. I think, Martin, it'd be fair to say that as you've heard from Chris, the rate of infection is still pretty forbiddingly high, but at a certain stage we will want to be getting things open, but that will depend on us continuing to succeed in driving the level of infection down and rolling out that vaccine program as fast as we possibly can. And what I will be doing in the course of the next few days and weeks is sending out in more detail as soon as we can when and how we want to get things open again. It will depend on us continuing to beat the disease. Let's go to Plymouth, please.
We can expect to extend school closures until Easter. Our strategy with the government is to ensure no child is left behind.
Mark, we will want to look very carefully at the data of where we've got to with the vaccination programme before we make our announcements about the timetables. As I just said to Martin, we're working as hard as we can to get things open. If you will recall, we really wanted to keep schools open, and we will want to reopen them, but we must do it in a way that is safe. We must do it.
I've predicted that they'll open schools. And then it'll be about a month later before
parents are now going
they let shops and things back.
At home to look after kids who should be in school. School is the best place for pupils, and I know the educational damage that we risk doing by protracted lockdowns, and that's why the government continues to support all sorts of measures to help teachers. A big rollout of laptops, 1.3 million laptops that we've provided, and massive investments in catch-up tuition as well. Clearly, that can't be in tutoring and one-to-one. That can't be done whilst kids are at home. So what we will do, Mark, is work round the clock as we come out of lockdown to ensure that the kids who have suffered, pupils who have suffered from loss of learning, from differential learning across the country, get the attention, get the tuition and the support, and we'll make sure that exams
It's a bit near that.
are being adjusted to what everybody has been going through in the last couple of months. Let's go to Laura from the BBC.
Thank you very much. And everyone's thoughts are with those who lost loved ones and families left behind. But Prime Minister, near the start, the hope was to contain the numbers to 20,000. About 5 times that. What went so wrong? And to the end, can you give us any idea of the range of the possible totals that we are looking at now? What are your expectations?
Well, Laura, I think on this day I should just really repeat that I am deeply sorry for every life that has been lost, and of course as Prime Minister I take full responsibility for everything that the government has done. What I can tell you is that we truly did everything we could and continue to do everything that we can.
I don't think he's handled it overly badly,
loss of life,
but
and minimise
he's just
suffering.
too slow at doing stuff.
Stage and a very, very difficult.
It was like the first lockdown in March should have been 2 weeks, 3 weeks before it was. And the lockdown in November should have been a full lockdown like it is now. And, you know, that kind of thing. But, yeah, you look at other countries and, okay, numbers-wise, we're not doing well. But economically-wise, we're doing a lot better than other countries, so...
All I have said earlier on, and I will repeat it, is unfortunately we're going to see quite a lot more deaths over the next few weeks before the effects of the vaccines begin to be felt, and I think we have to be realistic that that is going to happen. But to put a number on that I don't think is helpful to anybody. I think what we really should do is do everything we can to prevent that, and that is a combination of rolling out the vaccines, as the Prime Minister said, but also all of us doing our bit in terms of staying at home, except where we have to, and that's something that the entire country is doing, and that is really the key to the next few weeks.
Of course, Prime Minister, which is that fundamentally the driver of the death rate is the infection rate. Set against that, we are seeing continuing improvements in hospital treatment for severely sick coronavirus patients. Crudely, the in-hospital death rate has fallen from about 1/3 to 1/5, and we do expect that there will be more treatments for coronavirus looking out over the next 6 to 18 months perhaps. We've already seen those for some of the corticosteroids, the rheumatoid arthritis drugs that are being required. There are antivirals in the pipeline. So looking out, I think we can see a world in which coronavirus may be more treatable, but for right now, it's a combination of reducing infections and getting vaccinations done. And as we stand here this evening, 1 in 8 adults adults across this country have now had their first vaccination, so we are well on our way.
Thanks, Simon. Thanks, Laura. Paul Brand, right.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Prime Minister, 20,000 deaths was once described as a good outcome. How would you describe the outcome of 100,000 deaths that you've presided over? And to Professor Whitty, what would you say to care homes who are telling us tonight that they are concerned about the gap between the first dose of the vaccine and the second dose, and you are calling on the government to close that gap back down to the recommended number by Pfizer?
Paul, I think that the source of misery there, it's an appalling and tragic loss of life, and there's no question about it. And
Another Trump.
now, as Chris has just been saying, and is work together with the tools that we have of the stay-at-home principle plus the vaccines to defeat the virus. And as I say, I'm sure that we will.
In terms of the gap, I'm going to give a relatively technical answer because I think this is important that people who are listening to this, who've had one vaccine, actually understand the logic behind it. So I think this is a key question. The first and really critical point, which I think everybody understands, is our limitation is the number of vaccines available. That's true here, it's true in every other country as well. So therefore, by definition, if you give a vaccine twice to someone, you can only give it to half the number of people over a period of time. So the first reason for delaying the course of the vaccines is to double over the next few weeks the number of people who can actually have a vaccine and get some protection. The second point on this is the great majority of the protection comes from the first vaccine that someone has, the great majority, and that's true for the Pfizer vaccine, it's true for, as far as we can see, the Moderna vaccine, which is coming, and it's true for the AZ vaccine. The great majority of this protection is from that first dose, and therefore, what we're doing is we're giving a first dose to twice as many people. Now, the third thing people say is, well, might we have a situation where the immunity suddenly wanes between 3 weeks and 12 weeks? And there is no evidence for that for natural immunity, there is no evidence for that for the AZ vaccine, and there is no evidence for that in the Moderna vaccine, which is very similar, it's another RNA one, to the Pfizer vaccine. So that side of things, I think we are confident of. The final reason that people are worried about is, well, could this give rise to a situation where there's an increased risk of something developing in terms of a variant of this in the period of vaccines, and that's a theoretical worry. The certainties data from AZ to imply we may get at least as strong a response, and for AZ at least, possibly even a stronger response after a longer period of time, which means that will have a stronger period and for a longer period of protection, which will help protect the vaccine as well as the individual person afterwards. So there's lots of reasons why we think, we've thought very carefully about what the balance of this is, but the balance of risk in terms of reducing the number of deaths in the community, and I really want to stress that is the aim of this, is to maximise the number of people who get that first dose where the great majority of the protection comes from.
Thanks, Paul. Sam Coates, Sky.
Prime Minister, you just said we truly did everything we could to save lives. Do you really not reflect on whether some of those 100,000 deaths could have been prevented if you'd made decisions differently, and perhaps followed scientists' recommendations more closely? Professor Wilson, do you wish you could have done more to encourage a lockdown or circuit break, as Sage suggested, in September rather than to wait till the end of October? And Sir Simon, do you think that there was too much household mixing in December?
Sam, I just want to repeat what I said really to Paul and to Laura. We did everything that we could to minimise suffering and minimise loss of life in this country as a result of the pandemic, and I'm deeply sorry for every life lost. What I can say is that the government will continue to do everything we can to minimise life lost as we go forward, and I continue to urge people, as Chris has just done, to follow that guidance and stay at home and protect the NHS and save lives.
In terms of the question you asked me, I mean, the data, what we have now is a situation which is quite different to what we had in September, and I think it's important that we recognise that the new variant has changed the situation we're in very substantially. The question about when to actually do particular measures has always been a matter of balance, and I've said this repeatedly throughout this tragic pandemic. Balance the things which actually reduce the risk of transmission with all the other things we're trying to do in terms of society staying functioning over what has been a very long period of time, and unfortunately one we're not through. And that's something which fiscal leaders have to balance really difficult things. The scientific evidence is clearly something which is one part of that, and something which people try to make as clear as possible, and all the minutes are published, and that's all it's extremely clear what the evidence on that is. We go back to say, the thing which we have, which has made things very different in 2021, has been the problems of the new variant, and that was not predictable in September, although that is something we are trying to do something to address now. And that's the reason we were worried 2 weeks ago that the measures we had at the moment were not enough to hold this new variant. I think what the data I showed you at the beginning of the slide sessions shows is that the rates are just about holding with the new variant, with what everybody's doing. Our big worry was that we didn't even be able to hold it. It's going to be much harder because of this new variant, and I think we have to be realistic about that.
What I'd say, Sam, is three things. First of all, in terms of the underlying causes of spread, I think we defer to Chris and to the epidemiologists. Secondly, the facts as we see it in the health service are that on Christmas Day we had 18 coronavirus positive patients, and now we've got just under 33,000. But the third point is that we've seen that growth rippling up from the southeast, London, to the east of England, and then up to the Midlands, which is consistent with the spread of the new variant of the virus.
Thanks very much, Sam. Pippa.
Hello. Prime Minister, in the days and weeks approaching the sad milestone, have you spoken to families bereaved by coronavirus? Privately or...
Oh, he jumped through a red light before, and
if you haven't,
I've overtook
why
him.
not? And if I could also ask you, any people were given £500 bonus in recognition of their hard work during the pandemic. Even Lidl, the supermarket, has given its staff a £200 bonus today. Why haven't NHS staff in England had a similar gesture of support? And Simon, would you like to see them get one? Thank you.
Well, Pippa, the answer to your question is yes, of course I've talked to families of the bereaved and will continue to do so. And again, I extend my condolences to everybody who's suffered loss of a loved one during this pandemic. And
You've got to think though, if we'd have had Corbyn in, I imagine we'd be at 250,000 by now and be more unemployed as well.
The nurses, I think it was 12.8%, and will continue to invest record sums in the NHS. I think the amount we invested in the NHS even before the pandemic began was more than any time in modern memory, £34 billion package of investment, and that will continue under this government.
I think what I would say is that having talked to many staff across the health service, obviously day in, day out, actually what people probably want right now is three things. First of all, to be able to look forward to some sort of respite from what has been just an incredibly demanding and year of pressure. Secondly, to know that there are reinforcements on the way, that the staffing pressures in the health service will be taken seriously in the years to come, and there are some encouraging signs on that, but we've got to do a lot more. And then thirdly, to have things in the here and now, which fundamentally are about reducing the number of new patients who are turning up in A&E severely virus day in, day out. So it's that combination, I think, the sense that there will be some respite, the sense that the health service will get resilient with the staffing support that it needs in the years to come. But for right now, we'll actually collectively turn off the some new admissions that we're living with very severely ill coronavirus patients.
Thanks, Pippa. Harry Coulter.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Our readers, the children, are desperate for some clarity. This is not a question of but a question of how. Will children in lower case areas be allowed allowed to go back to school first, especially primary school children who have the most to lose from this virus educationally. Will you phase back schools by age and region when it is possible to begin getting children back into school? And if I may, there's been some saber rattling and some comments out of Europe looking at the possibility of blocking exports of vaccines into Europe to third countries like the UK. Can we get our response from you to that? And what measures are you putting in place behind the scenes to make sure that our vaccine supplies are not under threat from hostile actions such as that?
Okay. Thanks, Harry, very much. Getting kids back into school, primary kids back into school, as I said earlier, that's something that has been a top priority. The government continues to be our top priority for any kind of reopening. Clearly, if we're going to go back after half-term, February the 22nd, we need to give 2 weeks notice. So what I can tell is we will be making sure we give advice well in advance of that about what we hope to do and give people some rough idea of when things might be possible. And that depends, as I've said earlier, on the rollout of the vaccine, where we are with the pandemic, the rate of infection, and so on. And on your excellent point about would there be a regional difference when we look at areas where the virus is less present. It's pretty much a national picture at the moment, but of course we will look at all those types of all those ideas. On supply of vaccines from abroad and supply into this country, I've got total confidence in our supplies. We've been over this many times in the last few days and hours, but we've got confidence in our supply. I've seen what Commissioner Kyriakis said, and all I would say is obviously we expect and hope that our friends will honour all contracts, and we will continue, and we continue to work with friends and partners in the EU and indeed around the world, because the delivery of the vaccine is a multinational effort. The creation of the multinational vaccine, and the delivery of the vaccine is multinational as well, because the virus knows no borders. I don't think you had a question for either of my colleagues. Let's go finally to Charlie for Politico.
Thank you for having me.
God.
A terrible milestone we've passed today. Prime Minister, you spoke about learning lessons. Can you give a concrete example, or several concrete examples of what you're doing or planning to ensure that we never see a terrible loss of life in the UK again, because this will not be the last pandemic? And just to follow up on the question about the EU, would you urge the EU against the kind of vaccine controls on exports of vaccines that are being suggested?
So would I urge the EU to
against
yes, sorry, I wasn't quite sure that. Yeah, look, Charlie, thank you very much. On what we're doing, let's be no doubt that the UK is in a radically different position now from where we were 12 months ago when it comes to pandemic preparedness or dealing with an epidemic of this kind. That we have huge quantities of not only huge quantities, for instance, of PPE, we have the ability to make it ourselves. We've created an indigenous industry to do lateral, but not just to conduct lateral flow testing, but to make lateral flow tests. We have a vast test and trace industry. NHS test and trace has been built from scratch, is now a colossal operation that is actually doing amazing work in isolating instances of the disease and helping us to find out exactly what is going on and where. The UK is also, I've asked Chris and Simon to comment, but the UK is also out in front in conducting genomic testing of the virus cases, so that we know exactly what type of virus. And 47% of all the genomic analysis in the world is now done in the in the UK. You'll have seen what this country has done in terms of creation of the viable treatments for the virus, or pioneering viable treatments in the form of dexamethasone, and clearly we are out in front in the manufacture of or the creation of, or one of a group of countries that is doing well in helping to create vaccines. None of that is, of course, any consolation for the terrible toll of life that we're forced to announce today, that I'm forced to announce today. But I can tell you that things are really very different now in the UK as a result of the...
Anyway, enough of waffling, Boris. Thank you very much for watching, if it is you still are. Nothing really been announced today. I thought they were going to at least announce the traffic thing properly, but no. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you again soon. Until then.